So now it's my honor to introduce today's commencement speaker, Steve Norton. Steve is the executive director of the New Hampshire Center for Public Policy Studies. The center is a private, nonprofit, and nonpartisan think tank whose mission is to enhance and enrich the policy conversations on issues of critical importance to New Hampshire's future, those issues that we know you're going to be contributing to solving. Steve and his colleagues do this by conducting rigorous, objective, nonpartisan research on public policy issues that are vital to New Hampshire's future. In 2008, he was selected as one of New Hampshire's 25 up-and-coming leaders by Business New Hampshire magazine. And this year, the same publication identified Steve as one of a select number of 2012 influencers in the state. He received the most votes for the index, edging out, I might add, some others that actually are on the platform tonight. Sorry. I first met Steve several years ago. He may not remember this, but I invited him to participate in a research project that I was conducting as part of the UNH Carsey Institute. We were studying the New Hampshire Healthy Kids, and I knew Steve would have a lot of nonpartisan, objective insight to give about the project that we were analyzing, and he agreed to be interviewed, and I learned a great deal about him. I appreciated his candor and his contributions to our work. I'm committed to the principle that public higher education should contribute to the greater public good through research and, of course, through the education we provide to the citizens of the state. Steve Norton's work at the Center for Public Policy Studies reflects this same value. And as a state, we're very fortunate to have the kind of objective, data-driven analyses Steve and his colleagues provide. And it's my privilege to introduce him to you. Steve.
Good evening. Last night, my son and I were wrapping up the evening's activities, and I don't know if you had them down here, but the gigantic thunder boomers, did you have them? And the hail that came down. We had hail the size of marbles coming on outdoors, and I thought to myself, oh goodness, what's tomorrow going to be like? And I woke up this morning to this most beautiful day, clear, bright, and I knew at that moment that you must be the best graduating class in the United States of America. Well done, well done. To the family members and friends who are sitting out and back, congratulations. Congratulations for the support and love and financial support that you provided. To the friends out there, the same. You know, the students couldn't do it without you, as some of the other speakers have mentioned. To the faculty and administration that are standing behind me, I just offer the following observation. In all the people that I've spoken with out here in the audience, and I've spoken to a bunch, they say that you are the greatest asset of the university. So congratulations to you. Yes, you should applaud them. And to you graduates, let's not forget that at the end of this evening, you are going to have the honor of walking out of this place with a diploma. So congratulations again. That diploma is going to play an odd role in your life. I graduated many years ago, and I took that diploma and I put it on a shelf, and it wasn't until many years later that I recognized the value of this to me. And someday you might go back, open up your closet door, pull out this piece of paper, and realize that University of New Hampshire in Manchester may have been one of your personal headwaters, the place where you identified your sense of curiosity, your commitment to passion, your commitment to inspiration, and potentially the beginnings of your conception of the public good and how you are going to reflect that in your decision-making in your lives. You may be asking yourself, looking up here, although I was given a nice introduction by Sally, who is this guy? I'm not a governor, I'm not a rock star, I'm not an artist. The reason I'm up here is actually because of the organization that I represent, and it's the Center for Public Policy Studies. In the early 1990s, a professor named Dennis Meadows, who was at the university campus in Durham, and a variety of other individual leaders in the state realized that we needed a source of reason, a source of nonpartisan information that would help decision makers make the important decisions that informed our concepts of the public good and how we actually implemented those public good. You'll be not surprised to hear that the center was originally incubated at the University of New Hampshire and that many of the trustees had a role in getting the organization started. Unfortunately, one of the trustees, John Crozier, who actually sits on my board, is not available to be here tonight, and I'd like to give him a shout out for his hard work over the years on this. And this is where our missions align. My organization is primarily about the public good, and if I look at the university system here, and the University of New Hampshire at Manchester has as one important part of its mission this concept of the public good. You graduates, you look outward and you try and help your community in a variety of different ways. The students and faculty play vital roles in the cultural, educational, even the scientific community that exists here and around the Manchester campus. You might ask me how I know that. Well, first of all, I taught a class here, and I learned a lot about the students through that process. But also, when I learned that I had this honor, I let a few of my friends know, and I was stunned at the number of emails that I got from colleagues across the state, pointing out that they had been graduates of the University of New Hampshire in Manchester, playing critical roles, roles that shape the way politicians and policymakers think about the issues that we face. And you are going to fill those roles, you that are going forward with a graduate degree and also with an undergraduate degree. I also learned that from the very beginning, UNH Manchester attempts to create a sense of common good or obligation among its students. A month ago, I had the good fortune of sitting down with PALS. You all know what PALS are? Well, for those of you that don't, it's an acronym. Yeah, there's a wave out there. I met with a couple. I see them here. It's peer assistant leaders. And they're a group of individuals that help students transition into the college experience. And we all know that that can be rough and tumble. I met a future biology teacher, a pharmacist, an activist, a social worker, an artist. And each of them had an amazing interest in helping these new students transition into this amazing experience, a real sense of common obligation to help their fellow students move into this experience of college. And although they all had their different career goals, they all expressed almost unerring interest in serving the community. I was surprised. I was also inspired. And really that inspiration is the source of this speech. It's about the public good. And what is this thing that I call the public good? Well, it's about helping the community around you. It's helping each other. It's about the well-being of community out beyond the walls of the university. And I talk about this concept because I believe that we all have a personal obligation to define what that public good is going to be for us and also act on that. With that in mind, let me share my own personal approach as someone who is committed to New Hampshire. My grandmother came here in 1937, and my family has been here in one form or another since that point. My job over the past 10 years has been really shaped in trying to identify the pieces of information that are going to help us all make better informed decisions about the future. In short, I've been trying to figure out what is the New Hampshire Advantage and how am I going to help leaders like you, future leaders and current leaders, protect those assets that we have that make New Hampshire a fantastic and great place. New Hampshire Advantage is a term that has been taken up in the political realm to mean just tax policy. And I think that's too narrow a definition. That argument basically says something like, keep our taxes low and have people from Massachusetts buy our stuff. But I think it overlooks a very complex concept. When each of you think about what the New Hampshire Advantage is or what makes this place great, what do you think? Is it one thing? Probably not. All we have to do is look around, and if we had the curtain up, we could look behind us and we'd see lakes, we'd see natural beauty. Well, in this case, we'd see the river. Certainly, the New Hampshire Advantage includes this natural beauty. In 2010, New Hampshire was named the most livable state in the country. Think about that. New Hampshire was named as the most livable place in the country. What an amazing honor. The New Hampshire Advantage also captures all of you in the audience, the parents, the faculty and administration behind me, the students. In the economics world, we call that human capital. And that human capital is what drives our economy, it's what drives our communities, and it has to be an important concept, an important part of our notion of the New Hampshire Advantage. In 2009, we had the 4th highest share of adults with a high school degree or better. What an amazing accomplishment. And we remain the safest state in the country based on the crime rate. And although, particularly in this economic recession, it seems like things aren't as good as they have been, we still have one of the highest standards of living in the country based on our poverty rate, which is dead last. We have the lowest poverty rate in the country. This makes us a great and amazing place for businesses and New Hampshire families. The circumstances that have put us in this enviable position, however, didn't happen by chance. It happened because, as many as 30 years ago, people were making decisions about important policy questions involving tax policy, involving education, involving our bridges and our infrastructure that really helped shape who we are today. And my question, and the question that my organization tries to answer, is, are we looking sufficiently forward? Are we asking the questions that we need to do to make sure that the decisions we're making today affect positively the public good of tomorrow? And looking forward, I see a couple of challenges. Number one is the silver tsunami, the graying of New Hampshire, and I am now, unfortunately, one part of that phenomenon. We have a median age of 41, which means half of our population is less than 41 and half of our population is over 41. And to someone who's 44, that doesn't seem particularly old, but statistically, that ranks us fourth oldest state in the country. And we're aging rapidly. And we're going to have to deal with the consequences of that aging and the opportunities associated with that aging process, including the demands on the workforce and the demands on our social service networks. You guys could do a lot by staying here. That would keep the age low, so you can do your part stalling the silver tsunami by staying. The second challenge is the Great Recession and what New Hampshire is going to do post this period of economic distress. Although we've fared much better than many parts of the country, we've still lost 13% of our manufacturing base. That's pretty astounding. We used to be a community, and not surprising given the mill buildings behind you, in which almost 3/4 of our exported income was coming from manufacturing. And we've lost a significant portion of that. And you, the class of 2012, can have an impact on this by bringing your creativity and interesting problem-solving skills to a whole set of issues that will support our economic recovery. Old school manufacturing may be on the demise, but advanced high-tech manufacturing is on the rise. And we certainly see that in Manchester based on the number of startups here. And of course, the other problem with the economic recession is that the spoils of our labors have not been distributed equally across the state, nor even within this city. In a period of strong economic growth, we're still seeing the number of children in poverty increase, and that's a problem that policymakers are going to have to respond to. And each of you will have to ask the question, how am I going to step into these problems and these opportunities and help shape the New Hampshire of tomorrow? It doesn't really matter what form it is. I happen to take a path that involved nonprofits and government, but you certainly don't have to take that path, and you will find other paths. And in fact, of those receiving an undergraduate degree this year, almost a third are getting a degree in biological sciences. And while you certainly will not invent penicillin, there are going to be amazing things that you're going to be able to accomplish and bring to the table as we go forward as a state. Another third of you are getting degrees in computer sciences. I look at Facebook today. I hope that someday I think back to this day and I can point to one of you graduates as having created the equivalent of Facebook that's going to transform the way we interact with technology or the way we interact with each other. Those are things firmly within the realm of possibility. And while the careers of these two groups of people are very different, you can share the common sense of obligation to do something with what you've been given. As fortunate individuals, those who have made a significant investment, financial and otherwise, in your education, you've also received a significant investment in you. And that creates an obligation for you to act on that in some fashion. Whatever that fashion is, and whatever decision you make to do, you need to identify what your own common good is and how you're going to implement it. And as you do, I would suggest that the most important thing you can do in the next 20 years of highs and lows and of successes and failures, and I can guarantee you that there will be both in almost equal measure, is to cultivate your curiosity and commit to inspiration. Cultivate your curiosity. Be skeptical, not only of others, but of your own convictions. And commit to some level of inspiration that's beyond your own particular self-interest. Those two, in combination with whatever it is that you define as your sense of common good, will do more to create personal success than anything else you can do. And if you don't take the advice from me, take it from someone else. The literature suggests that your happiness has very little to do with the riches. A great thinker, David Brooks, did a bunch of work looking at how people define their happiness, and it isn't by riches. In fact, the single best predictor of how happy you will be is how deeply enmeshed you are in something that you have passion for. It's not to say you won't be happy when you get rid of your loans, right? Nonetheless, passion is incredibly important. And this passion can be your professional work, it can be your community work, it can be something as simple as being a Nordic coach for a high school team. But you have to choose that, and it's your obligation to do so. When I was brainstorming with my children about what I wish I had been told as a graduating senior from college. I came up with a few things that really didn't fit into a speech, so I'm going to tell you them anyways. One is save some money. It's going to be hard, but when you're 40, you're going to want that money to do something fun. The second one is use the arts to inspire creativity. It's always a great place to go back to when you're feeling like the world is a tough place. 3, sleep in 1 day a week, because let me tell you, sleep is a luxury. All right? If you ever have kids or you have a job, or an intense job, you're going to look at sleep as the gold of your past. And then finally, be generous with each other, as each heart has its own seasons and songs of its own. So despite the fact that I've been talking for 10 minutes, my message is actually very simple. 1, cultivate your curiosity and be skeptical of your own convictions. Question yourself. 2, commit to being inspired. And 3, understand that you have an obligation to create your own perception of the public good and act on it. You will be happier for it, and you will help the communities around you by doing so. Some of your toughest days and best days are ahead. Best wishes as you peer around the corner to the next 10 paces of your life and career. Congratulations, class of 2012. Applaud yourselves, and thank you.